TNTMTheShow presents
Talking Nerdy
September edition
with your hosts, Pablo Gunner,
the Ambassador,
and we are here to talk nerdy to you about all the nerdy stuff that we did and came out for the month of September. Starting off, our grade scale for a lot of this stuff, because it is streaming now, everything's streaming now, is going to be must stream. Unless it's like a movie, it'll be a buy. And then we're going to have check it out. Yeah, check it out.
Worth watching.
Rent or something like that.
That's what we kind of
wait for stream. With. And then it's like wait for stream, I guess.
Yeah, we replaced the rent with check it out.
Yeah, and then pass. Pass is pass. That's as worse. Yep. That's as bad as it gets. So for this month, this is what we're covering. We're going to be covering The Rings of Power, Season 2, Episodes 4 through 7.
Apollo 13 Survival.
Beetlejuice.
Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy.
Only Murders in the Building, Season 4, Episodes 1 through 5.
Hot Wheels Let's Race, Season 2.
Agatha, All Along, Episodes 1 through 3.
And Penguin, Episode 1, the premiere.
Yes. Twilight of the Gods.
Batwheels, Season 2.
And then we'll talk about merch, do some shout-outs, and talk about our merch coming out next month.
And let you know about our charity for the month of October.
Let's get started with, I think, the biggest contested thing right now in nerddom, which is The Rings of Power.
Yeah, the latest episode was awful.
No, the 7th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you're going to do a battle, you need to clearly define what's happening. Like, they were trying to get all the nostalgia at Helm's Deep without any of the work. Because Helm's Deep, if you look at it, they had, alright, if they get in through here, we'll go there, and then we're screwed. It was like their plan.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best they could do. And it was smart of them to go to Helm's Deep because then they could bottleneck the army so they go through. This one doesn't really do any of that. And then you want to stretch the truth where you can, but not overly. Damming the river, that was ridiculous. Like, rocks don't work that way. And on top of that, if you dam the river, no one's getting very far in the battlefield. Enemy or defenders. They're just not going. The offense and the defense aren't going to be moving very fast because that was a big river.
Right.
And it wouldn't just be a little bit of mud.
Mm-hmm.
You would have people potentially dying trying to cross.
Yeah, I was like, how did the water go away so fast? Like, unless they're in a place, unless they managed a way to vent it out.
Yeah. Plus,
like, where's the water stay going? There for a while, and then and if it took time, if it took place over time, I'd be like, okay, over time it'll go away, but it's not gonna go instantaneously.
And you have all these like people fighting, but you don't know what's actually going on. There's still no clear objectives with just about everyone. They're just doing whatever they feel like. There was only two parties that really had a clear objective of what they wanted to do. The Orcs and Elrond.
Mm-hmm.
They both wanted to get to Eragon and get Sauron.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand why they were even
fighting
if that's what their goal was.
If they all had the same goal.
It's really stupid. But then with Helm's Deep, they also just used stuff where you could clearly see what the point of it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like that wall thingy made no sense whatsoever. It's like, okay, is there spikes coming out to kind of put, like, how is this going to get rid of the wall? Just, I think they would have been better off sticking with catapults. Because catapults are entertaining to watch, but they're also very simple, and you know exactly what they're going to do, and it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You throw enough shit at something, it will break.
Yeah.
Works well. It's disappointing because it should have been better than Helm's Deep. The budget for this battle was way, way, way higher than the Peter Jackson's Helm's Deep. But that's how I feel most of Rings of Power is they're not, like the writing and the directing, they're not confident of their own. And so they're always trying to borrow elements from the Peter Jackson movies.
Right.
Which you can do that, but you need to make it work. If you're just taking a premise and kind of forcing it in there and then it doesn't feel natural, then you're not really doing anything good.
Right. So I disagree. I think this is the best episode of the season so far. I was surprised this wasn't the season finale because it was so epic. Now, I'm not saying I disagree with everything that you've said after that, because you are correct. So going back to like episode 4 and leading up to this point, to me, I like this show, and I think it's really strong in the strong moments. I think like when this show hits those great marks, like it slaps hard, right? Like it is phenomenal. Like when they had that one creature in the water, like that was so cool. The Ents, that was awesome. Like that was such an awesome moment. That too was great. But then when you piece it all together, you go, but what did it matter in the large scheme? And it jumps all over the place. That's the thing, is it jumps all over the place, and you go, yeah, but how does this help the story move along? And what is, like, why does, like, it was cool, like, that, the Numenor, that, I know that's lends to the story, and that's going to work great. I know that's going to be like, oh, now people have restored their faith in their queen, and that's great for that. But like the Ents thing, I was like, that was cool.
But she's going to get overthrown again.
But what is going to... Right,
because what's going to happen is...
he's going to get a ring.
They already messed up Sauron, Numenor. Like, Numenor actually goes in and captures Sauron and brings him as a hostage to Numenor. But he somehow manages to escape. But then after that, Numenor just doesn't care about Middle-earth. They decide they want the power of the gods, and they actually go and try to invade Valinor, the land of the gods, and get their asses wiped.
Okay. So, but yeah, I mean, and to me, all the Numenor stuff, I love that stuff. That stuff to me is the most interesting and the most well done stuff. I also feel like the Anatar, I want to say it with an accent, Anatar, and Region. That's the other thing. Oh my god, I don't know what it is about these words in Lord of the Rings, but I just love the way they feel in my mouth, you know? I don't know what it is. It just feels good, like saying those things. Like, if you just say them regular, like Anatar or Region, you know, it sounds lame, but you say it with the accent, oh, and it just feels so much better. But that was so good, like the building the whole thing, like the Great Deceiver, having him, like, tricking him into building the rings for the dwarves, and the dwarf story's been pretty good too, but it's not...
But the dwarf doesn't make any sense, the dwarf story, because the rings don't have an evil influence on the dwarfs. The dwarfs were actually designed to resist any evil influence, especially like Morgoth. Like, the only thing it does is greed. And they keep trying to, like, treat it like it's the One Ring, when it's not. The dwarves are not affected by it in any evil ways. They're similar to elves, except for dwarves are even a little bit more resistant to evil than the elves are, just because their creator made them that way, to protect them from Morgoth.
Okay.
And so that doesn't really make sense for it to do that. I think they could have done a lot better with the rings, because if you're going to do all these rings, make them different. If they're all like pseudo ring, the One Ring of Power, it really bores things quite a bit. Like the elvish rings kind of give them more control over nature, but it doesn't have to be wielded by an elf, because Gandalf wields one in the movies. He has one of the rings. If you would have kept more to what they were meant to be, it would have been easier. And But my biggest issue was Tom Bombadil.
Oh yeah.
Even if you just go off of the novels,
Mm.
they actually run into him before leaving the Shire, Frodo and Sam, Merry and Pippin. And so when they're actually at the Council of Elrond, they're like, hey, we know about this Tom Bombadil guy. He can resist the ring. Why don't we give it to him?
Mm.
Elrond's like, well, yeah, he can resist the ring, but there's a few issues there. One is he only has power in his domain, which is like by the Shire.
Mm-hmm.
If he leaves there, he loses power. And then also, the biggest problem is he has 0 effect on the ring, so he would lose it. It's like, okay, not a good fit. But you take those characteristics from the books and try to put them to this guy, nothing adds up. Like, he's not even in his domain right now. He's way east, and he doesn't go east. He stays in one area.
Yeah, to me, it just feels disjointed, right? Like overall, the season feels disjointed. I'm curious to see like what the finale's going to be and how that's going to affect the overall season, because right now, if it doesn't bring the pieces together, then it's just going to feel like a messy puzzle, where you're like, none of these pieces really fit together all very well. Like they kind of feel like mashed at this point,
Yeah, they're trying to do a Game of Thrones, but not succeeding. Because Game of Thrones in the earlier seasons, even though Daenerys was way off, you still kind of saw connections between the two.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that probably helped the most was having that assassination attempt go through. Because you knew that came from King's Landing, you saw the discussion of it, and you saw the result, and you saw the result carry over to there. So even though they didn't put those characters together, you knew they were like directly affecting each other. If you don't tie something in with everyone, it doesn't work. You also, like, one of the tough things is, realistically, not everyone would be calling Mordor yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only people who call it Mordor haven't really had any contact with anyone. So where would they get the name Mordor from if no one knows about it yet? Maybe after Fall of Rhaegon and the elves know, and then the dwarves would hear it from the chitter-chatter, and then they would all know it's Mordor. Sure. But, like, calling it Mordor right now doesn't make sense. You'd still call it, like, the Sutherlands. Because you don't know better until someone corrects you. Until you're corrected, you're going to call it what you know it to be called.
Right. So, so what would you say overall so far, right? Because we still have one more episode.
Pass so far.
Okay. For me, I'm honestly split, because I did that same thing where I go, is this better than Game of Thrones? The original Game of Thrones? No. And I'm like, is it better than House of the Dragon? And I'm like, I don't think it's like, I don't know if it's on par, or like maybe House of Dragon is a little bit better, but I just like, because at least there's people that I like in this show, right? Like, most of the characters I like, right? There's a lot of characters I like. I like Galadriel. I like Elrond. The captain, from Numenor, like, he's great. There's a lot of characters for me to like in this show. It just feels disjointed, and that's the biggest issue that I have, and I'm hoping that the season finale brings it together. So that'll kind of decide overall how I feel about the season. But even leading to this point, if you're not a hardcore, but also if you're too hardcore, I feel like if you're too hardcore, then it's probably going to be pass. If you're not super hardcore, but you still like, I think it's a must see. I'm still gonna like. I still love watching it. So I feel like at this point, there's still more good than bad for me, and that's why I'm gonna give it a must see. So, but I'm teetering on like, dropping it to just worth checking out.
All right, next we're going to have Pablo going over Apollo 13 Survival.
Yes, I thought it was a movie. I didn't know it was a documentary style, right? Like, when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, this is a movie. And no, it's not. I put it on, they put it on at work, and I watched most of it at work and then watched the rest of it at home. And it's funny because my daughter, Shelby, was like, I want to be an astronaut. And I was like, then you need to watch this. Because this is when stuff hits the fan and you need to get it together, you know? If you want to be an astronaut.
Scare her. Put on Fantastic Four. So
yeah, right?
It's like, oh,
you're going to turn into a rock person.
I could turn invisible, but do I really want to be a rock? No. I think I'll pass.
Yeah. So it's such a harrowing story. It is magnificent. It's so well done. I'm not a superstitious person, so I hate the whole thing behind like, oh, the number 13. But hey, things went so bad on this and just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Now they still survived.
But it's amazing that they could bring them back.
Knots with every breath, in and out.
Heads up, heads up.
And slowly, will not comment.
Go. Heads up, people. Look out now.
What's this?
That's what they gotta make.
The fact that they could even come out with innovations. I felt the movie actually did the 90s movie actually did a pretty good job of showing like how screwed they were.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they had to like, all right, this is what they have. Let's just start messing around and see if we can find something to help.
Yeah, it's a great story. I mean, if you love history, it's definitely, if you love space, if you love biographies or you know, stuff like that, like this is such a superb thing to check out. So if you fit within all that, I mean, I loved it. I'm tempted. It's so good. I feel like it's even worth watching again. It's a must-see.
Cool.
Next we have Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice. Yeah.
I didn't see it, but you did. So tell me about it.
Such mixed feelings about it.
Okay.
Like it has some good moments, but then it doesn't at the same time. I would say Jenna Ortega did good in this.
Mm-hmm.
She brought her A game and really brought it. Winona Ryder,
Oh yeah.
great actress, brought her A game, but the script writers didn't bring their A game for her. They tried to make her more based off of her character on Stranger Things than on the show. Like the whole premise is kind of a bit repulsing. The idea that, because if you watch the original Beetlejuice, she's treating those ghosts like people. And she wants the best for those people.
Mm-hmm.
To go from that to, I'm a ghost whisperer and I'm making money off of all these ghosts.
Here's what I think.
You have no psychic abilities whatsoever. You just pretend to be one so the police will hire you.
That is a brilliant theory.
So you admit I'm right.
Not at all.
Can you prove you're psychic?
I can read your palm. Give me your hand.
It's just too drastic of a change and not realistic because a lot of people have simple drives and they're not going to go over that simple drive. Like even when you have villains, they have a drive even if they think they're doing it for good, they still have that drive when they're good or evil.
Right.
But if you completely change someone's drive, you either need to have a ton of series of events shown on why they could drastically change that much, or you need to just write the character better.
Right.
Like Avatar: The Last Airbender, you have Zuko. Well, Zuko never really lost that drive he wanted. He just figured out more of how he wants it versus instead of how he was doing it before. Realize the Avatar is not my problem. It's my crappy dad. That's my problem. And he helps Aang take on the issue with his crappy dad head on and is able to overcome it. And he's always been a person of justice and honor, even when he was bad and even when he's good. All those characteristics were still there. That's like a perfect example of how to do it. And that's from a kid's show. That's not good if you're Beetlejuice. But Michael Keaton killed it. He did really good in the movie. The other big issue with the movie is a lot of convoluted stories. I think if they would have stuck more, even the big baddie that was advertised in the trailer wasn't really there much.
Okay.
I think their best bet would have been to reduce the amount of stories.
Mm-hmm.
Jenna Ortega's story was one of the best stories in there. If they would have kind of just cut it down to focus mostly on her story, they could have still brought Beetlejuice in and tied loose ends, and it would have worked out really well because she had the best story. Sometimes it's not about doing more, it's about doing good with what you have versus trying to overload.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was about more being good, then Spider-Man 3 would have been an amazing film. But it isn't. It had too much. They needed to focus it more and take some of the side stuff off, and it could have been a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I feel about this, and it even has some good moments in there. Towards the end, the musical moment was pretty fantastic and entertaining. But overall, I'd have to say, wait for it to be streaming. It's worth watching.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I wouldn't go to the theater to see it or go buy it.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. All right, cool. Let's move on to Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy. So, I already did a review for that, so go check out that review, but I want to expand on this in this show. There's more of, obviously, I dialed it down, so it's only a few minutes, so I like to expand upon it. So, yeah, it's a really great show. I thought it was about Darth Jar Jar. It's not about Darth Jar Jar. It ends up being about these two brothers that are Nerf herders.
Are you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking Nerf herder?
And one of them's just doing his own thing, and then the other one's...
So is Han Solo's and his brother in this?
So, pretty much.
Because isn't Han Solo a scruffy little Nerf herder?
Well, no, but these are like actual Nerf herders, right? Like literal Nerf herders and stuff.
I'm just joking because that was like one of the funniest insults from the original.
Yeah, it was
never made sense, but it was still like, okay, sure.
I was like,
we'll go with
scruffy,
it.
That works. They have Dark Ray in this. That was cool, but what the coolest thing is just like it has its own story, like, and you can see even like in the trailer how they'll rebuild. Like there's this part where there's this ship and it's falling, or like they're flying and then it becomes a walker, and like because they rebuild, right? Like there's this mentor and he rebuilds the ship that they're in to be a walker, and then they fall off this cliff and then it becomes like a fighter. Like he uses the Force against to change into a fighter. Like there's stuff like that, and then even like Mark Hamill's in it. I think was Rosario Dawson in it. There's a lot of huge talent. The guy that played Flash Thompson in the Spider-Man movies, the new ones, and then one of the kids from Stranger Things. He's also, I think he's the main character. So top-notch voice cast. It's just an absolute blast. The kids loved it. I loved it. I want to rewatch it just so I'm like more focused, because I think I was like doing dishes while it was on. So I was like, I want to completely hone in. And they leave it on this awesome cliffhanger ending where like the villain wins. So you're like, oh crap, what's going to happen next season? So there's going to be another season. I hope they don't make us wait too long. And I'm absolutely for it, and you should be too. It's a must-see whether you're a Lego fan, you're a Star Wars fan, you're a Lego movie show fan. And I love that they're doing these, like, they're almost like what-ifs for Star Wars. You know how, like, Marvel has their what-if series. That's pretty much what these Lego things are. So, that's why.
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, they've always kind of been like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
like, even the games.
Lego Batman movie, that was just a fantastic movie as well. But it was so over the top and so many, like, strange what-ifs. And, shoehorning Robin in there was just so funny because they were so shameless about it. They did it in the right tone to keep it comedic, because they knew if they try to do it serious, no one's going to like it. Mm-hmm. But they did it just right. So, yeah, I would say the Lego franchise has always been solid.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Next we got only murders in the building. Season 4, episodes 1 through 5. The season's been really good so far. They never stop with all the good celebrity guest stars that show up in there. Like the wacky neighbors, they got like a pretty big, I can't ever think of his name. They got a pretty big got actor's name for one of the wacky neighbors. And then if you watch the Eternals, the guy who was like the big Bollywood star in it.
Mm-hmm.
They had that guy as the creepy Christmas loving neighbor. They call him creepy Christmas loving neighbor because he's always wearing Christmas shirts.
Oh, okay.
And you find out why he's doing that, and it makes you laugh even harder because there's actually a reason why he wears all that Christmas stuff.
Okay.
They're trying to figure out a murder of one of the characters' best friend, and they believe that the real target was Steve Martin's character, and so they're trying to figure out who did it.
Which of the Pickwick triplets did it? Who of the crew would commit this crime? My little brat make a mommy go splat. It's a story pretty gory for a nursery rhyme. Which of the Pickwick triplets did it? Which of the spawn had the brawn to kill? Will a baby get tried for matricide? Coochie coochie coo. Time for you or you to admit it.
But while they're doing that, they signed a movie deal for their podcast, and you got the movie actors trying to learn their roles for the most part. And sometimes get in the way, sometimes they help. The one they got to play Martin Short's character is too funny. He's just bored out of his mind most of the time and doesn't care when you first see him. Zach, I can't think of his last name.
Galifianakis?
Yeah, Zach Galifianakis.
Nice.
They have him. And the joke is he looks like nothing like Martin Short.
Yeah.
That makes it funnier. Like the other ones were like kind of there. I mean, Selena Gomez is, I already said in the previous podcast, older, but still works. It's like, okay. Steve Martin's was actually really, really good. It's like you can actually see it, but then you got Zach Galifianakis there. And it's funny, he absolutely hates that he's playing this character, and you can tell he was like roped into it by a contract or something.
Mm-hmm.
The great thing about the show is there's so many good side characters as well. Like one of they had this minor character in some of the other ones where he was just kind of like the flamboyant neighbor that loves like animals. Well, he's more predominant in this season, and he's just cracks you up every time. But the guy plays the whole role completely dead serious too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a must watch. And if you haven't seen the series as a whole, I'd recommend watching it from the beginning because each season builds up after the other one.
Okay. All right, cool. Sweet. I need to get caught up, it sounds like. Let's move on to, as we just said, Agatha All Along, episodes 1 through 3. As you just said, maybe it's not for me.
Yeah, I don't know who they're aiming it for, to be honest. The demographic they seem to be aiming for is middle-aged women and wine moms. But ask me, how many middle-aged women and wine moms watch Marvel?
Yeah.
The only time moms watch Marvel is if their kids are watching Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
The only time, like, women in a huge majority watch Marvel is when guys are watching it. Just like Barbie. Most guys probably didn't care as much for Barbie as girls did.
I loved it.
But you saw it anyways because you went with your wife or significant other.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta aim for a demographic that you can get to, and if you can't get to it, you gotta figure out a way to get to that demographic. If you don't, it's hard. But let's go ahead and get with the episodes.
Yeah.
The first episode, I would say don't bother watching it. It's trying to do trying to repeat WandaVision, but not very good. Because the problem with this is, you already know it's a charade, and they just drag it on.
Okay, how about this? We shoot a normal conference room scene, but instead we insert Nintendo logos and products everywhere, and then it becomes a funny thing about how obvious we're being.
Shut up. Look, if you point out exactly what you're doing to mask what you're doing, you're going to lose the trust of the audience.
Just about everything you see there, besides characters getting introduced, is completely, utterly useless. If they had changed it up a little bit, maybe Agatha, being this alter persona, changed her personality and changed her character, so when she does get back to her senses, she's different. Sure, you could make that work, but the whole her just reverts back to exactly how she was before she was like put under the spell in WandaVision. It's a waste of time. They weren't gonna do any character development with her. They should have just ended the charade quicker.
I agree and disagree with that, which is the charade didn't last long, right? These episodes are not that long. I think they're only 30 minutes, right?
It felt longer.
But it did feel long because it's horribly done. Like, this first episode is so hard to watch.
Yeah, it's like they wanted to copy WandaVision so much that they didn't even try doing their thing with it. Like, the whole first episode is making fun of cop shows, but WandaVision, when they did that, it all had like a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
May have been a cheesy, dumb purpose, but it was there. Those were the shows she watched as a kid, and so she went to her safe zone and started enacting all the shows she liked growing up.
Right.
That works.
Mm-hmm.
Has a clear objective on why, but the cop stuff, it
didn't make any sense.
It just kind of came out of nowhere and never really did anything with it.
Like, they hinted at it because there was Aubrey Plaza's character showed up and she was like, "Oh, is this how you see yourself?" And then that's it. That's the only hint. And I'm like, how? Why? That doesn't make sense, and it's not expanded upon. So that whole episode doesn't make sense because of the fact that they didn't explain it, right? Here's the whole thing when you write. Make it make sense. Did it make sense? No, it did not make sense. Because if what they should have done is been like, what they should have done is shown her maybe like a fast-forwarded version of she's just been repeating this cycle as the brainwashed version this whole time. Because they hinted at it once again when she broke out, and they're like, yeah, you've been doing this thing and you've been acting weird, but whatever.
And then you gotta ask yourself, who in their right mind in that city would get anywhere near her?
Yeah.
Let alone someone didn't kill her is pretty amazing.
Right.
I'm
well,
just
she
saying,
know.
like, just from everything she did in the first season,
Mm.
and they all knew who she was in there.
Right.
So the fact that they would just be okay with her being there, it didn't make.
There's so much of that first episode that just doesn't make sense, and it was
if they would have done something to link the cop thing to make it make sense, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe show a flashback of her pretending to be in FBI or something to scam her way into like a magical artifact or something.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it'll be revealed throughout the season as to why that is. So that's why I'm not going to harsh on that specific thing, but the episode in its entirety was just very hard to get through and watch. There was so much cringe, and it was just hard. It didn't make sense. There's so much that didn't make sense. So that first one, yeah, I agree. That first one is a pass. I don't know. I don't know who that appeals to at all in any way, shape, or form, because it just was not well done. Now the second one was better, and I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. This is doing something, and I feel like they did a really good job of bringing her ragtag crew in because they made all of their situations very desperate, right? Like, this person was like, hey, they are coming after you and you'll spend your time in prison if you don't come with us, right? Like, this person, it's like, you will die if you don't come with us. This one, like, you're going to be haunted by your mother's past or whatever if you don't come with. So they're all very desperate, and so that works, and that worked very well, and that made sense until they're like, oh, we need a green lady. And she randomly picks this lady from the town and sucks her in, and they all act normal. Like, they act like it's all normal, and she's the only one that doesn't know the lyrics to this song that all witches know. She has no idea what's going on, and nobody points it out. That entire episode, that whole moment, because if it was me and I'm like, we're going to go on this life mission, we all need to be squared away and be at the top of our game, I want someone who's a key player, and then it turns out this person is powerless, I would be like, full stop, get her out of here, and go get me a green witch immediately. And all of them act like they're just completely oblivious. Until the next episode, someone finally mentions it. But even then, you're like, but why did they take so long to mention it? Even in the third episode, why did they take so long? It was so stupid. It went from being like they were building it solid, and it just went full stupid. And I was like, once again, make it make sense. It just went full stupid, and I was like, this is dumb.
Yeah,
this is so dumb.
The other really hard thing to do is when you write a character, you need to make them likable. Because right now, do I really want Agatha to get her powers? No! Give me a reason to want her to have her powers. Something. Because right now, it's like, she's evil. And that's what we know her as. Is she... Maybe if they wanted to appeal to everyone, maybe she's trying to get her power back to reconnect with her son. That would work. Mm-hmm. Even though they're hinting her son to be someone that he's not right now, that actor who plays Wiccan is awful. He's worse than Tom Holland.
So
the guy in the group.
Yeah,
he's worse than Tom Holland. Like spoilers wise. He's literally spoiled just about everything you need.
Well, I haven't heard it yet. I don't know if I can.
Yeah,
but
he said he put the spell on himself, his character. Why the hell would you say that?
Mm-hmm.
And then also he just said he's Wiccan in the interviews as well. It was pretty obvious out there, but some things you just need to keep your damn mouth shut.
We need to talk about this because this is a huge problem with Disney. I don't know what's up with Disney, and Disney is playing this back and forth thing where they go, we're going to fire Gina Carano for the things that she put on, not even an interview, she put on the internet. We're going to fire her because of that. But then when we have people like Leslie Headland and Amanda Sandberg and all these other people for the Acolyte, and then even these people, and they're doing interviews, and they're literally saying things that are going to make you run away from this show. Disney needs to go, hey, you need to get a hold of your people and you need to tell them to stoofu, because in that case you either fire them like you did Gina Carano, or you just get them to shut the hell up and not go, this is what you don't mention. Because Kevin Feige does that with his people.
Yeah.
He says, do not mention any of this stuff. We'll put a dart in your neck if you start talking about it. You know, like, there's a reason that the guy that plays Bruce Banner probably doesn't have his own movie. It just spoiled the hell out of it, right? But yeah, I mean, even Tom Holland with the spoilers, like, they have to hide stuff from him because he's so bad at it.
But even then,
but it's like, shut up! This is unprofessional. This stuff's unprofessional.
Yeah, even when Tom Holland spoils, he's not like spoiling big plot details. Like the fact that this actor said, "Yeah, the character's under his own hex." It's like, come on.
So it's not so. I mean, and once again, we're spoiling. You're spoiling because I didn't see that. So you're spoiling it for me. You're spoiling for people here because because the whole thing you're going like, oh, is it her son? Okay, well, it's not her son. And that's why I thought it was Wanda's son too. Yeah, and I was like, so immediately
he already said he's Wiccan too.
So,
actor.
but
like, what POS.
And once again, like, the third episode is not a bad episode. It's interesting and I like it. It's not horrible, and I'm kind of glad that the lady died in the sense that, like, well, she wasn't a witch, but it was just like, yeah, why are we rooting for her? She's obviously the villain. If anything, it would have made sense for that first episode to be like, her going through this loop is her redemptive arc immediately. Or not redemptive, but wanting a redemptive arc. Because right now she doesn't want one.
You know what they could have done?
Is her just being like, I want to be good. Like, I want to try to make up for everything that passed.
Go through the whole arc.
And then this whole story is her trying to redeem herself.
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's her trying to get back, which is the power. And maybe we will see some redeeming qualities. Maybe she will be redeemed by the end and everything like that. But right now, it just doesn't seem like it's going that way. And
you need likability. Like, even if they would have had the whole thing, instead of being a cop show, have something to do where she's involved with her neighbor. Maybe they become friends or something. So when she drags her into it, it's more of a... She dragged her into it because she knew she would come or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got this likability thrown onto your unlikable character.
Yeah.
Any of those could have... Like, you have to make characters likable. If we went in and watched Iron Man 1 and there was nothing, absolutely nothing redeeming as Tony Stark, period, it would be hard to stick around for the whole movie.
Right. Even House of Dragon, there's nobody I like in it. Right? For me, there's no likable characters, and that's why I don't like watching it, amongst other things. But at least it's a well-made show. They make it make sense. Like, it's well written. So that's why it's not a bad show. That's why it's not a bad show.
Yeah.
Right? In comparison. But this show, like, it is entertaining. There's entertaining points, but then there's parts that just make it full stupid and don't make sense and make it hard to watch. And because there's more... I don't want to say there's more bad than good, but because the bad moments are so bad, it just brings it down so much that it wouldn't be a pass for me because I'd still be watching it, but I feel like I don't know. I'm like, unless you're the target audience, I don't know who the target audience is, so I can't say. At best, it is worth checking out, but like, I feel like most of it is a pass. Like, especially that first episode.
I don't think it's worth trudging through it right now. For
most people, I would say wait until the end of the season.
We hope they can change their mind about it.
Yeah, I do hope they can.
But so far, it's a pass. And I feel like this is just a series no one really wanted.
That's something else I'm seeing online, right? Is they're going, the numbers, 9.3 or 9.4 billion viewers or million viewers. So where's the people that didn't want this? I'm one of those people that didn't want this. I'm only doing this because of this, right?
Let's
I don't care about...
I will insult those numbers right now. That is an international number, and that's not very good as an international number. Let's compare it to a Penguin. Penguin's on HBO, and it's on Max. It's about half the viewership of Amazon Prime, and 50% less than Disney Plus. Yet it put out about the same numbers, and the numbers they reported were U.S. domestic.
Okay.
That's pretty damn good. If you're gonna be like Max and bragging about your show, people understand because you just beat a bunch of shows that are like putting out international numbers, and you're putting out domestic numbers.
Right. Look, as a forward, I want to say that we loved the Marvels. Our entire crew loved the Marvels. This has nothing to do... None of this has been about being against women. I feel like all the actresses in this show are top-notch, but what they're giving... The writing they're given is subpar. The direction that's been done with this is subpar. That's the problem with this show. Yeah, they put money into it, and once again... A lot of these things that's the problem, is that people are spending way too much money, and even like with Rings of Power, you're spending way too much money when people spend way less, and I go, inflation, whatever, yeah, okay, I get it, but still, there's ways to find things cheaper.
How are you getting like a show like House of the Dragon? You may not like how it's going, but you watch it, you're like, you can see the money getting spent in there, and it's really, really well done. But you go to these other shows, you're just like, where's this money? Where's this budget? We can't see it. If you're going to spend the money, you need to make it look like that. If you're not, you need to cut back. And it's smarter to cut back. Because Game of Thrones, when it started, it wasn't on the balloon budget it had at the end. The only reason why it had a balloon budget at the end of it was because even when it was bad, everyone and their dog was watching it.
Yes.
And it was bringing in the numbers. And they could rationalize the ridiculous pay for their cast and the ridiculous amount of money they were spending per an episode because HBO brought all that money back. But if you're just starting big without knowing where it's going, it's a bad financial move. If you start at a smaller budget and see where it goes,
Mhm.
you're better off.
Yes.
Deadpool started at a small budget.
Mm-hmm.
It ballooned with each movie, but every time they've made their money back.
Yeah, I just, here's the thing. Once again, I don't feel like we needed this show. I don't know who wanted it. This is what I think it is. I think what happened is the song blew up, right? The Agatha Long song blew up, and people loved it, and Disney went, this can make us money. Let's make an Agatha show.
Yeah.
That's what they did. They saw money, they saw the money symbols, and they go, we can make more money off of this. Let's do this.
Here's the problem. When I heard Agatha All Along title and everything, I was like, okay. They changed it again. Okay. Thought nothing of it. It's been so long since WandaVision aired, I even forgot about the song. Like, I had to be reminded of the song. So it's not a big deal if you didn't get it out in time, if you're going to go off of that gimmick.
I just feel like this isn't the show that should have taken place after WandaVision. The show that should have taken place after WandaVision should be Vision Quest, right? Like, that was the biggest, to me, that was the defining moment in that show, in that finale. Obviously, there's hers, which they just repeated a lot of it in DS Mom, but at least for Vision, he got the memories of the previous Vision, and to me, it would have made more sense to go, let's do another WandaVision-esque show, but with Vision now. That makes way more sense, and him rediscovering himself and everything like that. That, to me, that would have been phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
Because we never got that originally with the original Vision even, right?
Yeah, or the fact, it would be interesting, how is he gonna react to Tony Stark's death?
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna have to figure out some way, because I don't think the Vision in WandaVision knows Tony Stark is dead. There wouldn't be any reason for him to know.
It just feels like it's in a disarray, right? Like, Marvel just feels like it's in this giant disarray at this point. And because you and I, we are both fans of Marvel, of the Marvel movies, of Marvel Studios, whatever. We want them to do good. We want the show to do well. It's not. And that's the saddest thing. So once again, like, I don't really know. I've heard that, like, that the gay community loves this show. Just because he has a boyfriend, and I guess there's some gay vibes between Catherine Hahn and Aubrey Plaza's characters.
Some gay vibes? Come on. That was like, almost like, the scene, the exchange between them,
I just feel like it
felt
I don't feel like it was that heavy-handed. I'm just saying, like, I don't feel like, once again, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, they're pushing an agenda. No, they're not. They're not pushing an agenda. There's not an agenda being pushed.
I don't think it's getting pushed. I just thought it was just
a thing.
Really weird scene.
I liked it.
Where it could have been done well, but I think it just kind of dragged a little too long on it. And then on top of that, you need to give your characters the right motivations. Everything Aubrey Plaza character's done doesn't really add up. If she really wanted to kill her, why didn't she do it while she was in the trance?
Because she... And to me, this makes sense because I go, like, she's the Vegeta character. She's a bad guy. She wants Goku at full power, and if he's not at full power, then it's not worth killing him.
But
I had to make that rationalization in my own mind, because it wasn't shown on screen.
But think about it this way: from what you've seen on screen, you can't even completely get on board with that, because
we know the writing's not that good. We've said that
because she tries to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
If she wasn't going to do that, she wouldn't have attacked at first.
Yeah.
Because it looks like Agatha would have been okay with just talking. She escalated it from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
If that was what she wanted, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. Yeah, the writing's not that good. I will say the one good thing about this, though, is Catherine Hahn is acting her butt off and she's earning her paycheck. But besides that, there isn't much good about this show.
Yeah, Catherine Hahn, she's a good actress and a phenomenal actress.
And she's killing it.
Given a crap script, unfortunately. Yes. I feel bad for her.
I do, yeah.
I feel bad for Aubrey Plaza, because Aubrey Plaza is a really good actress as well. But she's given this.
Yeah, it ends up being a pass, right?
Yeah,
it's a pass. So I want to talk about something else. I didn't mention it before, which is this show called Kaos. It actually came out at the end of last month. It's spelled with a K. Jeff Goldblum
I saw the first episode.
is the
He's Zeus.
I was gonna say Odin, but yeah, he's Zeus. So it is about the fall of the Olympic gods. Now there's not really that many. There's just you have Hera, you have Poseidon, you have Dionysus, you have Eurydice,
Yeah.
you have her boyfriend Orpheus, and then you have this other character Canis or Caneus. That's the thing. This show, I will say, I feel like this is mainly aimed at. I feel like the audience is like trans people, gay people, but then you go like, this is Greek. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, it is Greek. They were very open about that stuff. You know, there was a strong. So I go like, that makes sense. I don't feel like they're pushing a trans agenda because even though there's a lot of trans characters, I don't feel like they're pushing a trans agenda because you say they're pushing a straight agenda when they have straight couples being the majority in a show? You don't. So I disagree with that. Overall, I feel like it was a really well done show. It was really interesting. It was really intriguing. It was one of those things where it did build upon itself. It was constantly, you didn't know how it was building upon itself to get to its conclusion, which there is going to be another season. Well, I don't know if there's, but it's a cliffhanger for another season. I don't know if it's going to get picked up.
Needlehead, take care.
Watch out for that first step. It's a doozy.
I feel like it was well done. It was interesting, like, the choices they made for the actors. Like, Zeus was actually the guy that played Ares in Wonder Woman. That was a weird choice, mainly because he looks like skinny, and, you know, he's just like this tall, skinny. But I'm like, he worked. But the lady that, his wife was a weird choice. I didn't like, personality-wise, even like, it's not the way she looked, but just like personality-wise and the way she was acting to me didn't fit. Dionysus was fine. Like, I feel like a lot of the acting was pretty top-notch. Overall, it was a solid show. I really enjoyed it. I don't think it's a must-see.
First episode.
No?
I kind of was like...
It's a slow build. It's a very slow build.
It just didn't build any interest.
I love Jeff Goldblum. I feel like a lot of the actors were top-notch. It's interesting. To me, it's almost like a what-if, like, Greek mythology or, like, the Greek gods were real and if they were the main religion instead of, like... Because a lot of it mirrors, like, Catholicism to me in this. That was very intriguing to me.
Kind of a pseudo Percy Jackson.
So it was really interesting. It was really intriguing me, and I liked it a lot. I won't say it's a must-see, but I definitely think it's worth checking out.
All right, now that we've gone through hell, let's actually talk about something worthwhile. We're going to talk about The Penguin, Episode 1, and let me tell you, this is how you do a show. I had no desire for... I was going to check out a Penguin series because I thought Colin Farrell did good in the movie, but I really felt no need for there to be a Penguin series. That was my sentiment going into this. But then you got the Iceberg Casino, and you got Oz. I don't know why they just can't call him Oswald Cobblepot. Why not? I like the name. It is a little cheesy, but that's kind of just part of his character. Mm-hmm. He embraces it and is shameless, but they still bring that characteristic to him. But I do think they mostly channel it with the car in this one. But what makes it great is it happens directly after the Batman and the flooding of the seawall. Mm-hmm. And it's him trying to figure out what to do with the outcome because one of the big crime bosses was killed. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to get as much as he can while there's confusion. And he gets caught by the new heir to the Falcone crime syndicate, crime family. The messed up son, the druggy son, who's addicted to alcohol and eye drops. But they have this exchange, and I'm still very iffy about why I should care about this Oz character. But then suddenly, with it being built into the story, easing in, you get an idea of what Oz's motives are. And it went from this guy's an asshole to, well, He's not the nicest person, but I can get behind him. And sometimes that's all you need is... And as the episode goes on, you see more of his characteristics. Some kids try to steal his rims, and he catches one of them. And the logical thing is, have him help you with your dirty business and kill the guy. But he sees himself in that kid. They even came from the same area. And so he relates to the kid, and you got development between the relationship between him and Victor. Goes really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, what's her face? The villain, the chick.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember
The
her
sister.
name. But the sister was just so well done.
I want to say maybe Victoria?
Yeah, maybe Victoria.
Falcone? I'm not sure.
But basically, she got let out of Arkham.
Mm-hmm.
Which the trailers actually show more than the episode does. But I'm okay with that. They didn't need to show... The trailer was just to get you to try to watch the show.
Mm-hmm.
This one really just... what it does is gives you enough information to know who she is and move on. She just kills it every scene she's in. She has that unpredictability and unhinged, but also, you could say to a certain point, restrained logic at the same time. She's not just like a joker. She knows what she can and can't do, and she will push the limits where she can.
Mm-hmm.
To infinity and beyond!
They do such a good job with all the world building and character building in this that you just want to see more. It was an actual first episode that served as a first episode because you just don't get that anymore.
Yeah.
Like a lot of shows, they have to have a 3-episode or 2-episode premiere. Penguin doesn't need it. It tells you what you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get into it. Cinematography in this was top notch. They had a character that's sometimes missing in Batman stuff. They had Gotham, alive and well. They were going more towards the New York style Gotham than the Chicago style that you see a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really good, and a lot of this kind of kept reminding me of the comics, where they took some of the aspects of Long Halloween, Dark Victory, and put them in this, and it works so well. And Oz is so freaking brilliant. They just do so much character building with them. Even bringing his mom in works so well. Another way to make him likable. This is just how you do a show. We could talk about this for hours, but we're not going to.
We really could. It really is such a superb show. It's crazy that from episode 1, you get so much. Like, I thought he was the boss based off the movie, kind of, right? But,
yeah.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, okay, with Falcone...
He was Falcone's right-hand man.
Yeah, so he wasn't. But in this, they go, like, this is where he is. He has his club, and that's it. And then he does have, like, this other... You know,
or when he's going to...
He has the club, and then he has the other business. Not side business, but it's part of, you know...
The drug business.
The drug business, yeah. And so... And even that, like, they're trying to shut it down, and so he's getting desperate.
I like when he actually is about to go talk to the crime bosses, and he tells Vic. Which Vic is a great character because you can get understanding of Oz and how he thinks. He's like, yeah, so basically how these meetings go, I'm going to go in there... They're going to talk all big, make me feel like crap, and I'm just going to take it all and just be subservient because it gets their ego going. And then I can come back out and go back to business as usual. Such a good, well-delivered line.
Even that kid, like, I was it felt like a movie, but the whole show, the whole episode, I was like, what is he from? He was the kid from Runaways. He was the main guy, the well, not bad guy, but like of the kids, because he ended up turning bad. But Alex, I think maybe his name was. But anyways, he was really good in that, and I was like, yeah, he's perfect for this. This is great.
He's killing it.
Everybody, the acting is phenomenal, the writing's phenomenal, dialogue, like there's so much of this. So much of this feels like Sopranos, but it's Batman.
Sopranos, Batman, Godfather. Like, I would say the final scene of the first episode felt like Michael Corleone at the end of the first Godfather movie, when he does the big stunt that makes him the Godfather.
Right, and that's the thing, too, is that this is the kind of show that guys that I work with are talking about already.
And no babe is worth it, dude. No. Listen, hang with us, man. We'll teach you Bibles full of truth. Right.
Lord, man, you can't even trust them, man. Because you know what it's about? They spend your money and they tell their friends everything, man. It's about economics.
They tell them everything.
Man, all you gotta do is find a girl that looks just like her, nail her, and then dump her, man. Get her off your mind.
Your only mistake is that you didn't dump her first. Diane Court is a show pony. You need a stallion, my friend. Walk with us and you walk tall.
Walk tall, my man.
Bitches, man.
Right? They're like, hey, we need to watch this show because you're bringing in people that are not just nerds. It's not just comic book nerds.
Last night's Itsy and Scratchy was, without a doubt, the worst episode ever.
It's not just, Batman nerds. You're bringing in people. This is like Sopranos, but and you could literally watch it and not know anything about anything. You don't even have to know about the Batman.
Yeah, it tells you everything you need to know.
You roll in. And so that's why I can't give it a score anything less than a must-see, must-stream.
Yeah, it's a must-see, must-stream, and I am looking forward to it every week it comes out.
Right, because we're actually recording on the day of the second episode, and I'm like, man, I wish we could have watched it and then do this, but, that's how things go. So next, we have Twilight of the Gods, and I feel like this relates to a lot of what I think. So it's Zack Snyder, but it's animated, and it is it's about this one lady and her people get murdered, and she's about to get married to this other guy.
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today. Marriage, that blessed arrangement, that dream within a dream. Then love, true love.
Loki ends up making a deal with her to take down Thor, right? Because Thor killed all of her people, right? The giants.
Okay.
Right?
Frost giants.
Well, they're not really frost giants. They're just
giants.
Yeah. Okay. So it becomes this journey of getting revenge and how they have to make compromises and how they were good and then they're just constantly getting darker and stuff like that. But there's other people that have their vengeance for the gods, so they get those people. I will say this is that's the strength that I see. Like in Agatha, they did a good job of recruiting that ragtag because everyone was desperate. And this one, and he did the same thing in his movie and a lot of his movies, which is they just join just because, right? They're just like, oh, I get to kill this person, I'm in. It's the reasons are dumb, right? There's no desperation. There's no driving motivation. Some of them you find out the motivations. There's this dwarf that you find out he could transform and he wants to ally with them because he gets the opportunity to kill this dragon. Well, this dragon is also another dwarf that betrayed him. Okay, that makes sense now. Originally it didn't make sense at all why he joined, but now you kind of did an anime thing sort of where you explain the backstory later. But other people, there's this lady that joins up and then another this poet that's a slave, and you're like, it just doesn't make sense. He's just not that good at that type of thing, right? That was the same thing with his Rebel Moon, is that you were getting this crew, and it didn't make sense why people wanted to be part of this crew. And it was so easy because it's hey, just find people that hate the giant government. That's it. It shouldn't be hard. You know what I mean? And the way they went about it was stupid in Rebel Moon. So, and they do similar things here where you're like, man, this guy, he doesn't learn, but it seems like he's learning just at such a small pace. The animation is top notch. There's some stuff that's decent. Overall, like, it's better than his other stuff. I feel like he is. It feels like it's slightly improving, but it's not great. I mean, I guess if you're into that kind of stuff, and it's animation, so if you're into that kind of stuff, it's worth checking out. It's worth checking out. Like, overall, like, I'm like, all right, I'll check it out. You know, like, it's not at the top of the priority list for checking out, but, you know, if you have the time, check it out. Otherwise, it's a pass.
All right, next we're going to go and do Batwheels Season 2.
Yeah. Batwheels Season 2. It's a kids show. The best parts are when Batman shows up and Nightwing shows up and Batgirl shows up, but they're not in the show that long. They dip out, and then their vehicles, which is kind of like Cars, it's very Cars-esque. Then they come to life, and they interact and stuff, and they do things. You know, and they have, like, cheesy... There's some episodes that have, like, some decent stuff in there, like, you know, teamwork and, you know, and not being selfish and stuff like that.
The real question is, are they going to do a crossover with Knight Rider's car?
No, they're not.
That's a shame.
But I wouldn't mind seeing, like, a Cars crossover. I think that would be fun and interesting. But it's just... It's...
Yeah, but it's Disney.
Welcome back, Mr. Disney.
Are the Jews gone yet?
No.
Put me back in.
Yeah, that owns that,
Yeah,
so it'll never happen.
They're very greedy. They don't understand the idea of sometimes it's okay not to take all the money if you're still making money.
I don't know if that's really worked out for them when it comes to, like, with their deal with Sony, because, like, a lot of those Sony movies are straight trash.
Well, the only ones they directly have a stake in are the Spider-Man movies.
The Holland ones, yeah.
And they've done well.
Well, yeah.
So you can say that's a successful deal.
Yeah.
I personally think they weren't that great of movies, but...
Yeah, the first two were meh. But anyways, so getting back, it's for the kids, it distracts them for a little while. And that's how you know, like, the difference between, like, a good show and, like, a great show is, like, if it's great, it will keep them distracted the entire time. This one will only keep them distracted for, like, a few episodes before they get bored and do, you know, something else. And even for me as a parent, I'm like, yeah, this show is not good enough for me to want to sit there. I want to get up and go do dishes or go do chores around the house instead of having to sit there. Not that it's completely unbearable, but it's like I definitely don't want to sit here and do laundry and have to actually fully pay attention to this because it is a little annoying. So, as a parent, it's not worth checking out at all.
So it's not like a Mickey and Mouse Clubhouse level. Check it out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because Clubhouse, completely awful series, but
yeah.
Kids eat it up and love it.
Well, even the kids, like, they didn't completely eat it up. So I think even for the kids, it's worth checking out. Parents, like, you obviously don't want to watch it on your own, but, like, and it's not the kind of thing that you want to sit there, have to be forced to sit there and watch with them. From the list that Slay J did for us, and I'm going to start off with Rurouni Kenshin. That's going to be on Crunchyroll, so that looks awesome. I definitely need to get caught up on that. I've heard so many good things. But the biggest thing for me, if you know, you know, I'm a hardcore DBZ guy, so Dragon Ball Daima is great because it's kind of taking you back to its origins, right? They're kids. So, but it's like the new cast, but they're kids. And so I'm looking forward to that. This was the last project that he did, that he was involved with, Akira Toriyama. So I'm just loving this and drinking it up, and I cannot wait for that. I'm so excited for that. Can't wait to check that out. Even though I don't think it's going to be dubbed until November, that's fine. I'll watch it subbed. That works for me. Whatever I can get. If I can get DBZ, just give me more DBZ. And then next, oh yeah, so there's also Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider, The Legend of Lara Croft is coming out on Netflix, that show. It's going to be animated. I think it's voiced by Hayley Atwell. I think she's the main character.
Yeah, the only thing that scares me is the co-writer of the newest Indiana Jones movie is the showrunner.
Ah.
It scares me because that movie wasn't that good.
I don't think it was the... I don't know, it might be the worst, but... No, I think Chris will... I don't know.
But
it just got really stupid at the end.
Yeah. I mean, you're basically arguing is elephant poop or horse poop better?
Yeah.
It's still, they're both.
Well, hopefully it's good.
Yeah, hopefully.
And then on Amazon Prime, there's going to be Yakuza Like a Dragon Season 1. Now, I haven't played that game, but the fact that they have a Yakuza show, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I'm totally
I'll
down.
watch it.
I think it's animated, I'm assuming. So, yeah, I'm totally jacked for that. And then we have Silent Hill 2, which is remastered, I think?
It's a remake.
It's a remake, so that's even better.
Yeah, I feel it looks like you can just kind of just go in.
It looks phenomenal,
and
yes.
play it. You don't have to have played the previous games.
I wish there was a way that we could get it. We might. We'll see. I don't know. I know I can't play it in my house with my kids, but yeah. Then there's My Hero Academia, Your Next, which is going to be out in theaters. So I've been watching. Actually, I've been trying to get caught up on My Hero Academia, and I was watching season 5. And it's so funny watching it with the kids because they're like, who's that? Who's that? They did like it. They did like the show, but it was funny because they're like, there's a lot of characters. I just feel like that show focuses way too much on side characters than like the main characters, you know? And that's where I won't say it falls apart, but it loses its strength, you know? But it's still, it's fun, it's enjoyable, and I'm looking forward to that. And then, you know what I'm not looking forward to? Venom 3, oh my god,
Yeah.
that second one was the biggest pile of crap I've ever seen in my life. Oh my god.
I do have to admit, I did. My kid's been watching Spider-Man, and that origin for Carnage wasn't that far off. As bad as it sounds. I still think everything about the way the movie was done was awful. And I think if they would have been able to explain that the Venom symbiote reproduced better, but that's basically what it is, how Carnage becomes in the comics and other medium is.
It was just a dumpster fire because it was like, why are you trying to make the villain sympathetic? Like, that was so stupid. And like, they were doing it the whole time, and it was like, why? This guy's the worst. And that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah. Cletus is supposed to be evil, pure evil.
Yeah.
To the point where even Eddie Brock is like, let's put aside our differences. I hate your guts, Peter Parker. I still want to kill you, but this guy's a bigger threat. Let's take him down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I have heard, though, that they're going to have, spoiler alert for people, that Null is going to be the main villain, which is intriguing to me, but it's also a very new concept in the show, but I think it was also a concept that they were probably going to put into the video games as well. I know they did put it into Spider-Man 2, some of it. And so, the video game, right?
Yeah, the only thing I'll look forward to is hearing Null's voice.
I just can't wait for this thing to end. I'm like, this is
you know
so
who
awful.
voices Null, right?
Who?
Henry Cavill.
Really? Wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing that voice. I just don't think I'll like much of it after that.
Yeah, no. I'm not going to see it. I will not be seeing it. You cannot. Unless you guys pay us to go see it, that's the only way. So, the other thing is Joker 2. It's folie à deux. But I've heard both good and bad things. I genuinely... I feel the same way that I feel about the first one, which is I don't know if it's going to be good or bad. But I liked the first one.
The first one was
phenomenal. I thought it was a phenomenal film. So I'm hoping it turns out to be anywhere near as good. So we'll see. But yeah, tell us what you're excited to see. That's what we're excited about.
So now we're going to go and move on to our shout-out.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about our shout-outs. Which is, we have Atticus. Atticus is back. He is a friend of mine that lives in Vietnam as a teacher in, I want to say, Lao Cai, if that's correct, if I'm pronouncing that correct or saying it right. He has earned the title of the Batman / Bruce Wayne. I mean, he's not loaded, so I don't know if that's Bruce Wayne necessarily, but the Batman of Lao Cai, because they had this torrential downpour over there, and like a lot of people died. in it, and he
River flooded.
He has donated money to people that he knew, and he was out there. He has footage where he's out there helping people, you know, in this flooding, like making sure that they can get like to their house and stuff, and get to safety. Crazy stuff. And now he's part of it with the rebuilding and stuff. You can see that footage on it. It's so crazy to see, like how beautiful it was before, and now it's just wrecked, and so you definitely got to check him out. Obviously, MK Wizard, I've been doing stuff with her, and you should check out her webcomic, and just all the stuff that she posts on social media is so great. I can totally get down with. And then we have Pesky Gremlins. They also do webcomics, so check them out. They're funny, cute stuff. We have the Semi-Skeptic Pod. They always help us out, as well as the Watch It If You Can podcast, and many more. They always help us out and stuff. So yeah, check them out. And then we also have our merch here. I am wearing my Rings of Power right here, what's a play on, right? The nerds. It's Talk Nerdy to Me, and then it says The Nerds of Power. I got my Batman shirt, tank top that I made here. It's the all-over print that says Talk Nerdy to Me in the Batman lettering with a bat symbol and stuff. So this is absolutely top-notch. This does not fade. The all-over print is the best stuff to get. It's a little more expensive, but it is definitely worth it because it does not fade. It's superb, and it's just better quality stuff.
And then I have a Halloween shirt.
Yes, we're going to be putting out Halloween merch for October, obviously, because it is Halloween month. So we're going to be rolling all that stuff out. So get this stuff while you can. Oh, also, hey, I forgot about this. I also have this, the White Power Ranger leggings, which is really top-notch, that Slay J made. And I also have these underwear, which is the Finish Me Mortal Kombat boxer briefs that look phenomenal. They are so great. They're so comfortable. They don't have a pee hole, but they are super comfortable and they're great. I feel like I'd even wear them as like swim trunks because they're like so thick and sturdy. But yeah, I love this stuff. It's so great. So definitely check it out on our store, TNTM, the store. That's where you can find it. Look it up. We do a charity every month. For September, it is suicide. It's for suicide prevention, right? And so I think we might actually have some money to donate because we did make some money off the merch this month. So we need to do the math and see if we can donate that stuff before the end of the month. For the new month, for October, it's going to be
Breast Cancer Foundation.
Yes, the National Breast Cancer Foundation charity, because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Save the tatas.
Save the women, but yes.
No, they've
I know that's
they've
a slogan.
actually like made shirts that say "Save the Tatas" that do raise money for breast cancer awareness.
So help us, help them by buying some of our merch and stuff like that. And everything you do helps. We've been climbing. We've been getting more and more likes on our Facebook. I think we might already be at 44K. It's crazy. We're going to do a giveaway at 50K. We're going to do a giveaway of comics, video games, graphic novels, merch. It's going to be a blast. Can't wait for that. And that one we'll be doing, obviously, on Facebook. And then once we hit 500 subscribers for YouTube, we're going to do a giveaway as well. We're inching there every day, every week, every month. That's it for us, right?
Yeah. Stay nerdy, planet Earth.
Talk nerdy to me.